Hello, my name is Phil. Let's talk about movies. And today's movie is Shorta. It's a Danish film by Anders Ølholm and Frederik Louis Hviid. It stars Jacob Lohmann, who was in The Rain TV series a couple of years back. It also stars Simon Sears, who was in Shadow and Bone, which came out earlier this year on Netflix. And it also stars Tarek Zayat. Shorta, by the way, is not Danish, although it's a Danish film. It actually is Arabic for police. Raj, how are you?
Good. I'm really impressed you did your Internet Movie Database research before the review today.
I know, yeah, I'm reading the notes. That didn't come from my head. So the story centres on two police officers, Jens and Mike. They're on a routine patrol when the news spreads of a teenager, 19-year-old, called Talib Ben Hassi. He dies, actually. Not a plot spoiler because it's in the synopsis, but he dies whilst in police custody. Tensions soon escalate after this happens in the neighbourhood, and the community's youth seek revenge. So it's a pretty dramatic start to this movie. What did you make of it, Raj? Your thoughts?
See, why are you asking me for my thoughts straight away? Because you already know my thoughts, Phil.
Yeah, but everyone watching doesn't know. I know we have swapped notes on this already, briefly.
Yeah, so we did a little pre-review chat about this. Phil really likes the film. I thought the film was a little boring for my taste, but I really appreciate what the film was trying to say, although I think they got the execution a bit wrong. So it is kind of, a film in conjunction with the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, you kind of get that straight away, and it's sort of copycat from the George Floyd "I Can't Breathe" scene in the beginning of the movie. It's kind of set with different demographics, really. So it is really an Arabic Muslim community that is implementing in the Danish community, and the struggles that they have with immigrant laws and things that are just happening there.
I'm just reeling from your response to this film, because I thought you were going to really enjoy it, because I think it's really topical. I think it's a film of the moment. I think it does. It obviously reflects some of the real stories that are happening or have happened over the last couple of years. But I think there's something really dramatic about it and really thought-provoking. And I think it does actually kind of switch. It changes track as the film goes on. And I wasn't expecting, especially the final act, I wasn't expecting it to go where it did. But I thought it was great. I thought the performances were really strong. I think it started in a really strong way. Obviously, we've got the opening scene where this teenager is saying he can't breathe, and then it obviously brings back memories of what's happened with the police in America, but obviously this is in Denmark. But it's interesting how a lot of the stories that are playing out on the news in this film during the riots are saying that it's the worst rioting in Denmark for years. So it kind of does have its own story, even though it feels like we've seen something like this before in real life.
Yeah, and like I said before, I really appreciate what this film is trying to do and the message that it was trying to convey. So I read a few articles on The Guardian and in different UK news sources about how the government is kind of cracking down, making laws that are a bit unfair to Muslim immigrants. So although the movie actually felt like it was trying to be like a Training Day or, like a U.S. Police drama, that's the part where I think it tried too hard. And maybe if it was set in a little bit more realism about actually what is happening in Denmark right now with these ghettos that are defined by the government and how the immigrants are treated in these Danish ghettos, then I kind of might have enjoyed it a little bit more. It just, I'm totally going to speak for Sean too, but yeah, you could have cut about a half hour out of this movie.
I knew that was coming. Yeah, because it's almost 2 hours. It's like 1 hour 50.
Yeah.
And for me, that didn't feel like it was dragging at all. I thought it was really compelling. And I just immersed in the whole experience. I found it a mixture, a good mixture. It was kind of like slow burning drama, but also there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of I had sweaty palms. I did feel that it was it was quite tense. But I mean, we should talk about, you know, the main characters, the two cops. Obviously, it is a story of good cop, bad cop in a way, because we've got Mike, who's the bad cop, who clearly needs anger management. He's got real issues there. Jens, the other cop, who is more considerate, and he's a lot more quiet than Mike. Mike seems to be this, like, he's very gun happy in a way.
And, you know, to be fair, like, this sparked a lot of interest for me as to what is actually happening. So I think I was more fascinated learning that Denmark isn't, you know, the lovely heaven is a place on earth European country that we seem to think it is in our mind. It's actually got its fair share of problems too. And I just wouldn't have thought about that coming from a country like Denmark. So in that regard, the movie sparked a curiosity about finding out what is going on in the world over there. On the other hand, I don't feel like the movie was very realistic in its delivery or its execution. The only thing I will say, though, it was shot very well. The cinematography is beautiful. The acting is amazing. Yeah. Some really rising talents in there. But for me, the beginning was just far too strung out, and it kind of put me off. And I know some people who've actually seen the film will agree with me, because I read some of the comments and different reviews. Another problem of the film was the ending didn't quite pay off with all the build-up. So I would agree with a lot of commenters in that regard.
I can kind of understand what you mean about the ending. I quite like the ending. I think it is going to be an end that will divide opinion, though. But we should perhaps give a bit more detail about the story, because these two cops obviously are put together to go out, and I don't think Jens particularly wants to do it, because, you know, this Mike guy's got such a bad reputation, because not many people that are working with him in the force, they don't like him. They don't like his attitude, his way of working, because he has a very aggressive way of working, and he's causing a lot of problems obviously within the force, because they're getting a bad reputation because of him. The story does go quite deep. You know, it's two men learning not just about themselves, but learning about their work and about their, you know, about their neighbourhood and the people that they're trying to control. And I think it does do that quite successfully. I think it does show you a flip side. It shows you another side to people. And obviously we shouldn't judge people, and I think it does touch on that. And I think, you know, when you think you have the right picture about a scene, a scenario, or people, I think it could be something completely different. And I think it handles that quite well. I think
it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I think this is a very hit or miss film for a lot of people, and unfortunately, I kind of am predicting that this film will be a basis for an American remake. Because it's got everything there that would make a compelling story, and probably in America it would be more set in realism based off the current political climate. So unfortunately I could see that happening.
Did you find it tense? Because I found it really gripping. I think there was enough tension. I don't think it overplayed that, though, because I think there were quiet moments as well.
Yeah, it was definitely a tense film. It was just drawn out too much for me.
I've got to say also, the sound design was amazing in this film. I think it really did add to that tension that we spoke about earlier. An amazing score as well. It kind of had that John Carpenter feel about it. I read a review somewhere where they thought the same, and I can see exactly what they're meaning there. The effects are really atmospheric. I think the makeup too, you know, the cuts and the bruises, they look really authentic to me.
Technically, I can't fault the film, except I just thought it was a bit drawn out too much for my liking, and not set in realism. But, you know, that's my opinion. Yeah, I think Sean would agree with me, though. You could have definitely cut 30 minutes from this.
Possibly. And there's one downside. I don't have many downsides in this film, but the story arc revolving around the dog I thought was unnecessary. Not going to spoil anything, but there is a moment with a dog which a lot of people won't like. I know it's not real. It's obviously, you know, dramatized, but I thought that was unnecessary, and I didn't like that scene.
I could totally agree with you, Phil. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, Phil's going to have an issue with it. I think what we saw is really a final director's cut. You know, and I think if they recut the film a little bit and worked on the pacing and got it down to that sort of, or 90 minutes, it might draw people in a bit more.
Yeah, a really compelling thriller. I think it's got some really strong performances, very powerful sound design, and thought-provoking themes in the story. It's a 4-star for me.
Yeah, it's a meh 2 stars for me.
Wow.
But
you went hard there. You went hard
yeah,
for that 2 star.
Watch this film though if you're even remotely interested. Watch it. Maybe you and your housemate or loved one will have conflicting opinions like Phil and I, but or maybe you'll both love it. Maybe I'm just being a bit too harsh.
Yeah, I'd love to see the comments on this video as well. Obviously, comment down below if you have seen it. I know it came out in Denmark, I think, last October. But it's about to come out here. All the details where you can watch it down in the show notes as well. And don't forget also, we are Boys on Film and we are covering so much stuff over the next few weeks. So do subscribe if you like this. And if you're into music and movies, this is the channel for you, obviously, because we've got plenty of that stuff. And lots of film premieres coming up, which is very exciting. And also the London Film Festival at the BFI.
I'm so excited. They started to announce their big showcase opening, closing, and mid-film. So, yeah, it's just around the corner. So let's get into it again. It feels like it was just yesterday that we were covering this online, and a whole year is rolled around.
I know, it's crazy, yeah. And I know, obviously, it's physical screenings this time round, whereas last time, obviously, because of the lockdown, the pandemic, we weren't able to actually get to the theatres. So this is great that we're able to do that. Bring it on. Can't wait. Good to see you, Raj. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, everyone.